How do we keep the planet moving towards a greener future? It doesn't happen without driven entrepreneurs and inspired social impact leaders like you. This podcast will give the tools and insight you need to join the sustainability movement and save the world. This is Thinking Green with Mohammed Abdallah.
Welcome back, Thinking Green Nation. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus. This is your host, Mohammed Abdallah. It is my pleasure to be back live in action, ready to share what we've been up to, what we've been doing, how we're changing the world, and how you can change it too. Before we do that, I'd like to share an old Arabic proverb that I think is super profound. So the story goes something like this. Some water found itself in a cup with olive oil. So the olive oil, naturally, it rose above the water. So the water looked over at the olive oil and said, I'm the one who fed your mother. I'm the one who gave that tree life. And that's how you came to life. And now you rise above me? So the olive oil looked over at the water and said, oh, water. You were seamlessly streaming down the earth. You were cruising along, allowing gravity to carry you down. You endured no pressure, no pain. However, I was chopped from my mother, and I was picked from the tree. I was taken to a facility where I had to endure extreme pressure and extreme heat. And that's how I was distilled and turned into this fine all oil. And that is why I rise above and I elevate you. So the water looked back at the olive oil and said, true that. No, but it didn't actually say that. But the point is that, through that pain and through that endurance, we're able to grow. We're able to really become our complete selves. No one achieved great things without adversity. And that's why I'd actually like to dedicate this episode to my dad, Sayyid Abdallah, God have mercy on his soul, who died and passed away in 1999. Been 22 years, not a day goes by that I don't think of him. My dad was one of 18 children. He had, a very rough childhood. His parents got separated when he was a kid. His dad went on to marry a few other women. His mother went on to remarry, and that man had another wife. And this is, Cairo, Egypt, back in the 60s. So he really dedicated himself and committed himself to education. He was a brilliant student. He was also a very gifted athlete. So he quickly rose above the ranks and became an excellent student. And through that, he was able to decide at the end of his high school years what he wanted to study. And he decided to study computer science. It was the second year that program was being offered in Egypt. And he studied, he graduated second in his class. He ended up bouncing around through Europe looking for work, went to France, went to the Netherlands, came back to Egypt. He finally got a call from Canada at the time in the 80s. Canada was hiring a ton of technical, engineers, telecom engineers. And so he came over to Canada, and we moved to, we didn't move. He moved to Ottawa. He ended up coming back to Egypt and meeting my mom and getting married, and then brought her back to Canada. That's where me and my older brother and older sister were born. We lived there for, oh, shoot, can't forget my younger brother. He was also born in Canada and moved to Texas in 95. So we moved to Texas in 95. We moved to Plano, Texas. That's where he really started to rise the ranks in the telecom industry. We were, a middle class family. He was making a decent income. We went to decent schools. We weren't living lavishly by any means. I remember begging my parents to buy me like Adidas shirts and Nike, and they, buy me the off-brand stuff. And I remember it used to be just my dream to rock some Nikes and whatnot. So, we by no means had a very lavish lifestyle. He was very humble. He came from very humble beginnings. He wanted us to learn Arabic. He wanted us to go back to the motherland and meet our family and engage in experiences that you can't really engage in the States, in third world countries, seeing people that really, actually cannot afford to buy a meal or buy a pair of shoes or so on and so forth. So that was super impactful and had a lot of influence on my life. My dad got on an airplane in 1999 to go on a business trip to Cairo, actually, where his company was thinking about opening up a branch, a telecom branch there. On his flight, the flight actually, crashed off the coast of Rhode Island, and it's called Egypt Air Flight 990. It was a commercial airline. All 250 plus people on the aircraft passed away. He was among them. And I remember, waking up. It was Halloween day of 99. I remember people just started flocking into our house, hugging me tightly, crying. I was 9 years old at the time. I didn't really understand what happened, and surely, I'd understand the trauma a lot later on in my life. But the reason why I bring this up is because, I want to talk about how that pain and that adversity shaped my life, how it shaped a lot of my attributes, my character, my characteristics, so on and so forth, and how really, I'm the middle of five children. So when my dad passed away at the age of 9, I really kind of cowered into my shell, and I didn't want to live in the limelight. I didn't like being in the spotlight. I liked flying under the radar, and really no one knowing anything about me. And for a lot of people nowadays, that's very hard for them to see, because they see Mo, the entertainer, the social addict, the guy that just lives off of experiences and memories, and loves, the social interactions. But really, for the longest time, I really just kind of stuck to myself. I didn't have a lot of friends. I spent most of my time at home. My mom needed a lot of support, and I was a pretty shitty kid, not gonna lie. But she had a lot of responsibility on her shoulders. She was a single mom of 5, a widowed mom. She barely speak English at the time my dad passed. She had never paid a bill in her life. She had never had a job in her life. And then all of a sudden she found herself in this position where, the bread earner is gone. And, the nurturer is now, taking care of everything. So she was kind of a bear, and she looked after her cubs, and it's the best way for me to explain it. And my mom, also is my biggest supporter. Her and my sister, obviously my brothers as well. But from day one, my mom believed in what I was doing, believed in me. Always told me that she believed that I would have great sustenance, or rizq in Arabic. Rizq refers to sustenance. That can be something that was given to you and for you. So like your paycheck, that was something that's given to you but not for you. So like someone hands you a pizza slice, but then you see a homeless guy and you hand it to them. So then that becomes their risk or their sustenance. And it even goes as deep as saying, how much carbon will you release? How much oxygen will you take in? How many, fruits will you eat? How many vegetables? How much livestock will be for you? So sustenance is something that has a pretty deep meaning in the Arabic language. But my mom always used to tell me, I believe that you're gonna do great things. And um, for me, it took me a long time to start being okay with being me. Um, I when I started Good Faith Energy, I started to receive, some recognitions, some awards, and in the beginning, I used to just kind of put my head down and go to work, right? Like I wouldn't take a stop and breathe it in and relish the moment and live in it and accept, and the celebration. I just thought that I needed to put my head down and keep working and not really and I not really address the trauma of me not accepting recognition or being okay with being in the limelight or the spotlight, and especially and the way that I started to justify it to myself was, listen, like the stuff that you're doing, Mo, is transformational. It's impactful. It's not just 100% about capitalism. It's somewhat about capitalism, but it's also about the triple bottom line and what you're able to do in terms of legacy and purpose and fulfillment and contribution to that legacy. And so I started to be okay with being me. Like I'm in this role, I'm the head of the organization. People are looking at me as the leader, and I need to be okay being in that spotlight. Be okay accepting the recognition. Okay, celebrating our great accomplishments and the things that we're doing. And then once those moments are over, I can put my head down and continue going back to work. But every once in a while, I can pick my head back up and appreciate the view, appreciate the perspective, appreciate the progress, appreciate the journey, and not always be so focused on a destination that we may never achieve. Um, and so, my message to you guys this morning too is it's okay to be you. Like be you. And I tell my staff that too. Like I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, but I want you to be you. I want you not to have to hide who you are. I don't want you to have a side at work and a side at home. Obviously there's some level of professionalism that you have to display at the workplace. But outside of that, like it's okay to share, your joys, your pains, your passions, your quirks. It's okay to be you. You don't have to hide who you are at Good Faith Energy. And as me in my household and any interaction that I have in my life, I love being okay being me, and I want you to love being okay being you. So with that said, I know we've been on a little bit of a hiatus. Like I mentioned, I'm going to catch you guys up a little bit on what we've been up to. So I got a short little list here. I'm going to go through. The first thing I'm going to touch on are our impact projects. So as a social enterprise, we're very much committed to giving back to our community. This year, we did a donation to the equestrian Equest is what it's called. It's therapeutic. Crap. Hold on one second. Equest provides therapeutic services through equestrian, services. I guess I don't know. That was terrible, but you guys get what I'm saying. They basically provide therapy through horses for people that have PTSD, for children with intellectual disabilities. There's so much research and so much evidence on the benefits of horses on humans. Even, in my belief system, one of the things that we're taught to raise our children and teach them, one of them is how to ride a horse. I guess in this day and age, a car, but it's profound because we talk about horses and on a deeper level, they do provide a lot of companionship and love, and they're very smart animals, and they understand us very well. So we did a donation to Equest. They're located in Dallas. Highly recommend you guys check out Equest and make a donation. They're doing great work. We also did a $6,000 donation to the Night of Superstars. This is a night that celebrates children with intellectual disabilities. It's also a soft spot in my heart, and something that I really care about. I really care about, children that, are ill, children that, didn't get the right chance in life because of a lack of early childcare development, children with intellectual disabilities. So on this night, these children, they dress in gala-like clothing. They're walked down the red carpet, and they're given scholarships for continued education and continued workforce training. So I'm a huge fan of the Night of Superstars. If you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend you do so as well. The last project that we're really looking forward to is a project with a nonprofit called Bonton Farms. Bonton Farms is a 501c3 located in South Dallas. They are located in a food desert, which by definition, I believe means that they don't have a grocery store within 7 miles of the neighborhood. What that typically results in is, basically, criminal justice issues, because, you are what you eat. So if you're eating, potato chips and sodas all day long, because that's all that's available to you, typically that will, drive, poor behavior and criminal justice issues. So Bonton Farms is basically a nonprofit that has a garden, okay, that grows produce in the middle of this food desert. They hire ex-incarcerated individuals. They rehabilitate them. They bring them back into society with these, by turning them into farmers. And then right now they're actually building tiny homes to house these farmers in, bring them back into society, make them productive members of society, ones that are not forgotten about. This organization, in my opinion, provides an incredible service to the underserved, minorities and ex-incarcerated folks, people that live in food deserts. So they're just tackling so much. So we're excited to share that through the help of a couple of generous partners. We're going to be installing a 30 kilowatt system, which is just under 100 solar panels for Bonton Farms on their market cafe. And that's going to offset about 40% of their electricity needs. So we're thrilled about that. A couple other things, really exciting things that happened in the month of October, just to catch you guys up. We took a trip out to the University of Tulsa, where I got my bachelor's degree. We did a presentation on renewable energies and energy storage for the Tulsa Energy Management Student Association. We had a really, really nice conversation with the students. We saw a lot of interest. Just goes to show that a lot of these students are very interested in getting into the green energy careers world. They're just a lack of opportunities at traditional four-year universities currently for this industry. And so we're looking to change that. We're looking to transform that. We want to be at more universities in the next 24 months, doing presentations, recruiting students, giving them internships, supporting the universities that really are most aligned with our vision of what the energy future looks like. We also took a trip to San Francisco. This trip was super cool. Span is a company that we've partnered with. They manufacture smart electric panels. These smart electric panels are typically paired with solar and batteries, as although they don't need to. They give you consumption data, so energy usage data at the appliance level. So it'll tell you exactly how much your fridge is using, your dryer, your washer, your internet, so on and so forth. You can turn these loads on and off from your phone. So let's say you left a blow dryer running. I don't know why you would, and you left it maybe in your bathroom. You leave the house. The span can actually notify you a safety warning, and let you know that, hey, you probably want to shut this circuit and turn it off because you left a blow dryer running. So you can turn loads on and off during a power outage, and you're able to back up more load. So really, the primary value proposition of a span unit is battery optimization. Allows you to optimize the loads on your battery, and it allows you to optimize which ones you want, based on the state of charge of the battery. So Span actually invited us to their live launch event where they had, several high-profile speakers, a really cool event, in the mountains. And they rolled out their new generation of products, one of which is an EV charger that we're super excited about. It's called Span Drive. Here in a couple of weeks, I'll actually have the CEO of Span on the show. So I'm not going to dive too much into the technical details of the product. They also released something called the Span Home, which is what they call in the electrical industry a meter main combo. So it's a main electric panel coupled with a meter base. This is required in certain jurisdictions. Certain cities and utilities have these. So we really enjoyed it. I got to take Pablo, our digital products manager, Savan, our operations manager. Both of them have 2 children. I have 2 children. Our wives joined. And so we all went to San Francisco. Savan actually grew up in the Bay Area, so that was pretty awesome for him to get to go back and see his mom and dad, some of the siblings. And then, we went to the event together, and it was crazy. Like, it was honestly mind blowing to me. I was in Northern California, which for me, I reminisce a lot about. I have a lot of memories of Good Faith Energy, the early days of Good Faith Energy from California, right? It was where I first went out to see Kyrie, who is a good friend of mine who was working for Solar City at the time. He had been with them for about 5 years, and he took me out to a job site and showed me the safety plans and showed me the design layouts and showed me the installation in progress, and that was kind of an eye opener for me. I was also where I went and saw Vince, who was on the show, I think episode 2. He's down in Palm Springs, California. That's where I think the majority of my vision and inspiration came from, to build a similar business with a great culture where people really love being there and working there, and that's where I got that from Vince. And then, in the first couple of years, I also would go up to Inner Solar in San Francisco, and it was at the Moscone Center, shaking hands and just telling people what I was trying to do and grow. And it was very, very early on. And honestly, it was mind blowing to me to go back to California and be at this Span event, and people coming up to me saying, "Are you Mo with Good Faith Energy? Yeah, we recognize you. We've seen your videos. We've seen your posts. We've seen, the work that y'all are doing. Thank y'all for the work you're doing. It's awesome to see a great partner like that leading the way in oil country in Texas." And it was just honestly mind blowing is the only way to explain it. Like 5 years ago, I was coming to Northern California, and knowing who I was, no one cared about what I was doing. I don't want to say nobody, but the majority. And there were just a select number of people, like the ones I mentioned, and a few others that really helped propel and catalyze the business and grow Good Faith Energy. And to be back in San Francisco, running into people that worked at finance companies, big EPCs, at Span and others, to recognize the name Good Faith Energy. A lot of them call it GFE, which is hilarious to me. That was a dream come true too. I used to always call Good Faith Energy GFE, and now it's funny. Partners, Enphase and Span and others are constantly saying, "Hey, what's up with GFE? Are you guys going to roll out this new whatever?" So it's been pretty special to see that manifest itself. Also, this past weekend, we went to Canyon Lake, Texas. Canyon Lake is a beautiful, beautiful lake down in the hill country, surrounded by beautiful trails, pristine water. It's got an aquifer, so the color of the water is just beautiful. It's got several, small waterfalls, great place for camping, fishing, and we called it the Unplugged retreat. So GFE Unplugged was a vision I had with my buddy Peepo, whom you guys have already also heard on episode 1. But Peepo and I went out to the Solar Summit in May of 2015. And it was an awesome event, very intimate. It's also where I met Vince. And on the way back, so we were driving. So on the way back, we stopped at White Sands, New Mexico, and we pitched our tent and we camped out there for the night. And it was one of the most memorable, special nights of my life. On one side, we were looking to our right, and it was these pristine sand dunes with the moonlight just crystallizing the sand, and it was just glistening, and there were stars and shooting stars and planets, and the total night illuminated the campsite. It was beautiful. And then on the other side, we saw like the man-made grid with a bunch of transmission lines, distribution networks from the town nearby. And there's this orange beam that's just pulsing from all the radiation, all the greenhouse gas. You could just feel it, like this really unnatural pulse. And on the other side was these stars and the moon and the sand, and it was just illuminating the site. And we were like, it would be really special if we did a retreat, and we called it GFE Unplugged, where you can unplug, go out and just enjoy some time with nature, go camping, fishing, hiking, really reframe everything that we're doing and go back to the basics. Like, why are we even doing this? Well, it's because every single one of us loves nature. Every single one of us loves sunlight. Every single one of us loves the mountains and the views and the pristine, fresh, crisp air, right? There's nothing that makes us dislike these things. Like, it's in our human nature. Now, over time, some of us steer right or left and kind of steer off the path because we fall into political beliefs dividing us, or social beliefs dividing us, or religious beliefs dividing, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, every single one of us at our core loves Mother Earth, and we love nature, and we love being out there, and it gives us something we can't get when we're stuck indoors, watching TV on our couch, right? And so we had about 50% of our staff join. It was super special. It was a 5-hour drive. At the same time, we had about 6 of our staff members working the Electrify Expo in Austin. Big shout out to Alan, Pablo, Dag, Charles, Sierra, Sammy. All of them put in a ton of work at the Electrify Expo. This is the world's pretty much largest exhibition of electric vehicles, scooters, bikes, you name it. So we were out there, and it was a blast. I got to stop by on Friday before heading down to Canyon Lake. I spent some time rolling around in the e-bikes. We actually raffled off a Super 73. So that was pretty cool, Super 73 e-bike. I also drove this little scooter called the 9Bot, which is just badass. I loved it. Want one now? Check it out, 9Bot, all one word. But the Unplugged retreat, being on the same weekend as the Electrify Expo, kind of split up the team a little bit. But it was great to get everybody at the retreat Saturday night, where we did an awards banquet and really just spent some time recognizing our staff, telling them it's okay to be you, accept the spotlight, share a few words, celebrate your accomplishments. Don't shy away from that ever. What we learn late, we must teach young. And that's something that I really want my staff to feel comfortable with, is, knowing that, hey, you're going to do great things, you're going to do shitty things, but on the shitty things, typically you get your hand slapped for it, or, someone gives you an earful. But how often do we stop and celebrate the positives? I heard something profound, that we get 50,000 thoughts in our head every single day. 40,000 of them are negative. putting you down, telling you you can't do something, telling you, giving you doubts, concerns, fear, anxiety, stress, right? Only 20% of your thoughts are actually positive, optimistic thoughts. So what do we have to do? We have to relish and cherish and enjoy those positive moments, and we need to promote them more, and we need to really celebrate them as much as we can. Another cool thing that happened since we last talked, y'all, was Good Faith Energy was featured in an Enphase press release. Enphase Energy is a major manufacturer in the solar industry. They manufacture micro inverters and energy storage products. They are one of the leading manufacturers in this space. They released a PR about Good Faith Energy and Enphase Energy's battery relationship, and how it's just exploded in the last year, especially after the winter storm that happened this past February. Funny enough, Forbes actually picked up my quote from the Enphase PR and published it. So I'm officially a published author, or I guess a speaker, whatever you want to call it, in Forbes. So I'm super pumped about that. And then last but not least, I've been super focused on continued education lately, learning the new IQ8 products, learning the new Powerwall Plus product. And also there's a lot going on in the cryptocurrency world, and a lot of folks interested in data center build outs, sizing electrical services, sizing solar and solar systems to offset the load of the mining machines. So we're super excited about this new phase of business. I like to call it the new age economy. We're there. We've made it. We're not turning back. The best thing that we could do is adopt it early on, and try to understand the fundamentals of this technology and figure out a way to monetize it and take advantage of what it has to offer without sacrificing our morals and ethics in the process. So that's all I have for you guys today. Again, much love, Thinking Green Nation. Apologies for the hiatus. We're going to get on it. Typically Q4 is one long fire drill because everyone's trying to squeeze in their tax credits before the end of the year. People are starting to line up utility incentive money for Q1. If you're listening to this podcast, you're interested in solar storage, EV charging, make sure to check out goodfaithenergy.com. Happy to connect with you. If you want to connect with me personally, have any questions about what we're doing here at Good Faith Energy, I'm happy to connect with you. Send an email to mo@goodfaithenergy.com, and I'll get back to you. You guys have a great rest of your week. Again, make sure you guys stay true to yourselves. It's okay to be you. The pain and the adversity that we see in life is what gives us the endurance and stamina to grow and develop. Much love, y'all. Until next time, hasta luego.
Thank you for listening to Thinking Green with Mohammed Abdallah. This episode was brought to you by Good Faith Energy. For more information, check out goodfaithenergy.com. Make sure you subscribe, give us a review, and leave a 5-star rating. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. See you on the next episode of Thinking Green.